If you're gonna run Facebook ads for your clients, this is the only video you're gonna need to watch in order to actually properly set campaigns up so that your client ad accounts don't tank, so your clients don't start hating you, so they genuinely actually love your services, give you referrals, and give you testimonials, so that way it's easier to sell people on sales calls because you actually have proof of results and so on and so forth. That way you don't need to constantly go and chase clients all the time and worry about people not trusting you and objections and all that kind of garbage. There are also some really common mistakes that a lot of people make in the Facebook Ads Manager while creating campaigns. So I'm going to cover all of those. But this is the campaign creation process I personally use to scale my own agency to consistent 60, 70K months-ish while looking like I'm 16 with happy clients and with a team that only even has to check client ad accounts like once a week. Okay, so this is assuming you already have a Facebook Business Manager, an ad account, etc. This is just going into the actual campaign creation. So you just click the green Create Campaign button. That brings you to a page like this. So a lot of people talk about naming conventions, and a lot of people do make this mistake early on. Honestly, naming conventions aren't that serious. You'll want to know what exact campaign you're doing. So if you're running 2 campaigns for somebody, you want to be able to distinctively know which one is which. So if you're doing like a buyer leads campaign, you'll want to know it's a buyer leads campaign. Or if there are multiple campaigns with a name like this already, then you can just name it like April 15th, 2024, or you can name it your company, something like this, right? It's not that serious. You can name these things like whatever you want. People talk a lot about naming conventions. It's not what's gonna, get you the results. If you have a special ad category, if you're advertising in one of these areas, credit and housing are quite common in the agency space, especially housing. There's no way around this. Some people, common mistake, people try to get around these things. There's no getting around these things. You have to pick one if you're going to be in it. Yes, they come with limitations, but that's just something that you're going to have to deal with. And then you'll select the correct countries. In this case, the example will be Canada. From here, this is another place where people make a ton of mistakes. You can leave this as auction. Now, another place that people make some pretty big mistakes is the campaign objective. So in the lead gen business, we're always going to want to select leads. There are particular strategies where you can do other things, but for the sake of this video and for everything I've personally ever done, I only select leads. If you do awareness, you're not going to generate leads. If you do traffic, depending on how you do it, odds are you're not going to generate leads. There are very specific things that you have to do here that I don't know, I haven't done myself. Engagement, that's only going to get comments, likes, etc. App promotion, we're not promoting apps, and sales is more for an e-commerce kind of thing. So if you do have e-commerce clients, then you're probably going to want to go for sales. I don't do any split testing off the bat. I personally do use the Advantage campaign budget, or what we used to call CBO, campaign budget optimization. So essentially what this does is it puts the money in at the campaign level. So if you have multiple ad sets, the budget will unevenly distribute between the ad sets and unevenly distribute within the ads within each ad set, based on Facebook's AI determining which ads and which ad sets, audiences, etc. are performing best. I personally use the Advantage campaign budget. You don't have to. I find it's more efficient. I don't have to test things as aggressively, so there's really just not much of a need for me to do anything else, right? Or use ad set budget optimization, where we would turn this off. So for a daily budget, you can really start anywhere from $10 a day USD and up. So that would be like 13.50 Canadian a day roughly. In this case, let's just say we're doing 27 Canadian per day, 20 USD per day. That's where I like running as a baseline for my clients. Ideally, we want to spend a whole lot more than that. And we do get up there, but off the bat, starting low, cool, that works, 20 a day, 15 a day, whatever. So moving on from here, you don't need to worry about any of this stuff. I just skip over all of it. Ad set name. This is where if you're having 2 different audiences, you would want to name them here. So let's say we go real estate interest for this audience, right? Or if you change geography, etc. You just want to know which one is which. Again, we don't need to nerd out about the naming conventions and make sure we use a bar to break it up and put my name in it. It's like, who cares? Like, it really doesn't matter. If it's your own ad account especially, buyer leads works, right? I don't put dates. Honestly, I don't put dates. I don't even put my company. I'll just name it something that I know I can refer to. It's just not that serious. I see a lot of people getting caught up over this stuff. Moving on. So the conversion location, I personally prefer to go for a website and do landing pages on a website. For the sake of this video, I'm going to show you an instant form example because when you're newer, doing website lead gen and using landing pages, it's just a much more complex, difficult task than using instant forms. So that's something you'll work yourself up to, as I did in the beginning. You want to pay attention to what people do in the early stages, not where they are now, because otherwise you're just making life harder for you. Then you can select a Facebook page. Ideally, this is going to be your client's page, or it's going to be a page, this is assuming we're running ads for your clients, or it's going to be a page that you host to run ads for all of your clients under, if that makes sense. So I could have a page called The Real Estate Market, and I could run all of my clients' ads under that page. Or what I personally prefer to do is pick the page that belongs to the specific client and then run ads under their own page just to promote their own brand a little bit more, and so on and so forth. We're gonna maximize the number of leads. That's the goal here. Catalog, I don't do anything with the catalog. And then budget and schedule, again, you really don't need to worry about it. You can just like launch it now. You can launch it tomorrow. Like it's not that serious. Now for audiences, this is where people get way too unnecessarily confused. And this is another area where people make some pretty common mistakes, and there are mistakes on the ad level as well that we'll get into in a little bit. You just don't need to be that specific about your audience. What a lot of people will want to do is they'll do something like this. Like they'll want to ideally, and I work with real estate agents, so they might, say something like, oh, like I want to target this like extremely specific little area of downtown Toronto, right? It's like, well, in the housing category, we don't have that ability. We can't target smaller than a 15-mile radius just due to rules and regulations on Facebook's platform. That being said also though, right, in the housing category, you can't target specific demographics. You really can't be specific with ages and so on and so forth. So my opinion, advertising in general on Facebook and online really is that broader is better. I let the message itself do the targeting for me. So in this case, all I'll do is I'll just go say Toronto and Toronto plus 15 miles, right? So let's say that thankfully Toronto is actually on the edge of a lake. So if somebody doesn't want to go all the way up to Vaughan, for example, then we can actually drop a pin, let's say down here, and then have that one be the 15-mile radius for Toronto. And that's one little mini hack that you can use to decrease the audience size or get more specific geographically when you still have to use the 15-mile radius. Audience size, we want to look at like 100K plus. That's usually like a really nice healthy spot. Age-wise, if you aren't in a special housing category or a special category in general, then you can get a little more specific, but you just want to think about who are the actual customers and what's the broadest range that they're going to be in. If you're selling something like mortgages, now in this case, we can't target ages specifically for mortgages, but just for the sake of an example, 19-year-olds aren't gonna be getting mortgages. So we're probably gonna wanna start at like 25 really on the low side. So just something to think about. Gender, I just do all. If there's a specific gender that 99% of your clients' clients are that gender, like women, for example, then you can do that. For detailed targeting though, you can just pick one big interest. Let's see. Yeah, I guess just the real estate, yeah, that's what it is, just the real estate industry, right? So now we can see the audience size went from 2 to 2.2 million down to 750 to 890K. Languages, if there are multiple languages in an area and your client only speaks one language, maybe we want to do English all, or English and Spanish, or English and French, or whatever it is. And then in terms of placements, that's where things can get a little bit dicey as well. I have a personal way of doing things, but we'll get into that right now because a lot of people make mistakes. But this is literally the targeting that I use for my clients. Like it's not that serious. If you want to duplicate and have a secondary ad set, then you can have a secondary ad set where you delete this and then you just have Zillow real estate. And then the title of the ad set can just be Zillow interest. So that's where you can do your split testing and allows CBO, or the Advantage campaign budget, to unevenly spend within each of these audiences based on which one's performing better, which one's getting cheaper leads is really how it optimizes. From here, in terms of placements, I personally do manual placements. I turn off the audience network. I'll do Facebook and Instagram feeds. We do stories, reels as well. I uncheck all of these ones. Reels, stories, cool. I personally do this. We delete or take out just about everything. The profile feed, I mean, yeah, we can do that. But really, we just keep it simple. Feeds, stories, reels, nothing too crazy, nothing too stupid, too nutty, and that's it. Now, obviously, you need to accept the TOS. I'm just whatever for the sake of this video. And then from an ad level, this is where you can do something like ad copy 1, image 1. Right, so there are a couple ways that you can go about doing things here. You can select an Instagram account. You can just use the Facebook page. It'll pop up as Evan Vance on Instagram if I did this, or you can actually connect a proper Instagram account and run it that way. But big mistake that people make is enabling multi-advertiser ads. And this is just a huge thing in general. Facebook, they're gonna recommend you a bunch of crap that I personally completely don't like. It's often just a way for them to blow your clients' money. So I turn off multi-advertiser ads. It's not that you can't use them. It's not that you shouldn't. I personally don't. I have my own refined way of doing things. You can develop your own. You can test for yourself and find out what works for you in your niche or niches that you serve. Maybe they're really good for you. Just saying, right? This is where we're getting into the ad creative. So I generally will do image ads. We can do video ads, we can do carousel ads. Just for the sake of this video, I'm going to talk about image ads. So generally speaking, on feeds, I'm going to want to have a one-to-one image, and I'm going to want it to be, looking pretty nice, something along the lines of this, nice clean image. Stories and reels, I find this to be pretty ugly personally. Ideally, you have some high quality photos that you can use. This one looks pretty good, takes up the entire screen, perfect, let's run it. Next, what I do, this weird scroll thing happens. I turn all optimizations on and off because even if it's set to off, it'll default to like turn on music or something like that. So I just do this and there we go. Now we have the creative in place. Now, this is for the fun part, and this is where most people just absolutely suffer, is going into the primary text or the ad copy. I've talked about this in another video, but within your ad copy or your primary text, the first line here is your actual headline. This is titled headline, but there's a reason this is optional, and there's a reason that this is not optional, right? I mean, you don't even actually have to have a primary text or an ad copy, but my point is like, this is what's really, really important, and people just get, the headline is the first thing that people see. The first thing that people see is gonna be up here. People don't read bottom up, right? In English, we read left to right, top to bottom. So this is going to be the first thing that people read. So this is where we're going to want to reach out to the right type of person and allow the AI to do the targeting via our ad copy as well as our image, because we want the image to catch the eye of the right type of person. So in this case, what we want to do is call out, you'll see this everywhere, but just to use an overplayed example, attention homeowners of Toronto, right? Or home buyers of Toronto, right? That's going to be your big hook, right? Get an instant list of the hottest homes on the market starting at $500,000. Let's even say in Toronto, it's not very realistic, $800,000. Someone sees this image, they're gonna be like, that's BS. But here's an important note and a mistake that a lot of people make. Attention home buyers of Toronto, get an instant list of the hottest what? Before this see more button is where we want the important part of our ad copy to be. So in this case, here, this is your hook, this is your headline, this is the single most important thing in your entire ad, period. Well, I say it's the single most important thing. It's really important. Your creative is huge. So trust me, I'm not saying you can overlook the creative and this is the only thing that matters. Your creative is arguably more important, just for the sake of getting people to stop scrolling, get their attention, so on and so forth. But this is something you can do here. Some people will dump emojis here and do all types of things like this, but frankly, this is a sufficient ad. This is all that you actually really need to do. You can do more than this, and there are so many reasons I would advise actually against running an ad like this. Now, these things work. They can bring in extremely cheap leads, high volumes of leads, etc. I personally veer away from this, and I'm not going into all the details of what I exactly do when writing my ads, because that would honestly be a 3-hour long video on its own. I'm not even joking, because it's a really, really deep conversation. But this will attract home buyers within a given area who are looking at a certain budget and above. This can work. Straight up, this can work to generate you leads. What we're really looking to do is give somebody a lead magnet. We're offering them something, right? This is what we're trading them for, their information, their name, their phone number, their email, and whatever other questions we may ask. We're giving them this instant list of the hottest homes on the market, starting at $800,000, right? They're signing up for access to something. They're signing up to receive something. It's a trade, it's a transaction, just non-monetary. Right, so that's extremely important. Now, for headlines, what you can do is you can double down on this and say something like, let's say 51 Toronto homes starting at 800K, right? Just for a little example here. Odd numbers work great. This is a cool little headline example, right? Insert odd number here, thing, right? So that's a cool thing for the real estate niche. You don't need a description. Call to action, I personally do learn more. Sign up works as well. I've split tested these. I've tested get offer on top of that. They all work. I tend to default to learn more and sign up. But what you'll want to do, and you can also do, is I would recommend adding a call to action to your ad copy. Click learn more to get your list now, right? So now when people click see more, boom, there's a CTA. A lot of people will just curiosity click. However, we do want to make sure we're giving them a call to action in the ad every single time. So all you real estate guys, cool, here's a simple little ad example that's just gonna bring in a good volume of leads. Now, moving into instant forms. Now, when you're titling your instant forms, again, we can just do something like buyer leads form April 2024, for example, right? Or your company name, or just something that you know and that stands out to you and that isn't too ambiguous or vague or anything like this. Now, there are multiple form types. Two of the main ones, this one was added recently. Two of the main ones are more volume and higher intent. So more volume is just going to push people through the form and try to get you more leads. Higher intent is going to add a review step that gives people a chance to confirm their info, which just means, hey, confirm this info is correct, and it pops it up at the end once they're on like step 3 or 4. So this is where we can start to play with lead quality and determine how quality the leads are that are going to come through. For the sake of this example, we'll just go for more volume. Then into the intro, what we can do is we can just upload the same photo from the ad for the sake of congruence. Congruence is really important. You want to make sure that people are seeing the same thing throughout each stage of the funnel so that it doesn't seem too weird, because subconsciously people might think that this is sketchy or weird or unusual and then they'll leave. So we can just do that. In terms of the headline, get your instant list of Toronto homes 800K plus now. You can add a description. I would just do, honestly, click continue to get your list. So now from here, when they click continue, we can skip through here to go to the next step. This is where we're going to ask them certain questions. Now, there are a lot of cool things that we can do here, but for the sake of this example, we will add just their phone number, email, full name, phone number. And then with this one, let people know how the information they give you will be used or shared. This is where you're wanting to come up with some kind of disclaimer, right? So we'll use information to send you our weekly newsletters, right? In this case, we'll use your information to send you your instant list. So let's say in this example, when the thing comes in, it sends them an email, right? Or it sends them a text or whatever it is. That's what we can put there. In this case, name, email, phone number. If you want, you can add custom questions, multiple choice, short answer, conditional. So we can send people down different logic paths based on their answers, appointment request, or a slider. Cool different things you can do there. Some people will add pre-qualifying questions. You know, how much are you looking to spend on a house? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? These kinds of things. These are really common. And then from here, for the privacy policy, this is quite important. And a lot of people make mistakes here, and then a lot of people get their client accounts rejected, potentially banned. Like, it can be really, really difficult, really sketchy. So ideally what we want to do is get a privacy policy on their website. You can Google privacy policy generator free, and there will be some options there for you to generate free privacy policies. You want to host it on their website and then link it here. There's an important note. You can't have it be to a PDF or something like this. It has to be hosted on an actual website. And ideally, you don't want it to be hosted on you don't want it to be some kind of short link like a bit.ly link or anything like this. Big common mistake people will make is they'll link to like a Google Drive or something like that. Facebook doesn't like that. They want you to actually put it on a legitimate website. And ideally on that website, you want the person's name, company name, that lines up with the Facebook page or something like that to match on that site. So then you can add the link and then add the link text if you want, which can just be client's privacy policy. View client's privacy policy. You can add a custom disclaimer. And then once they have signed up, congratulations, click the blue button below to get your click the button below to get your list. Required description, instant list of Toronto homes starting at 800K. And then what we'll want to do is go for view website, and then we can send them a link. If you can host this online, this is where you can send somebody directly to some kind of, for example, to a realtor's website with the home search page up for MLS listings. And you can link to ideally the same URL that is going to be in the privacy policy, so that everything is congruent and lines up so that Facebook doesn't get worried. Again, they can't go directly to a PDF file, JPEG, image, or download. So you need to be careful about that. And then here, click here for your list. Let's even say instant list. So then, boom, once they're through, that's what happens. So they click onto the form, get your instant list, click continue. Okay, I'll click continue. It'll autofill their information, which I didn't mention, but it'll autofill their information, which is why there's some lead quality issues here, and that they just tap their thumb a bunch of times. So landing pages do give you higher converting leads, but again, they're a much more complex game. From here, and again, that's where the whole ad copy, this is really, Facebook ads is a really, really deep rabbit hole, but I just want to give you guys the simple rundown, as well as avoiding the most common mistakes. We have the privacy policy where we can link client's privacy policy. Congrats, click the button to get your list. There we go. And then you can create form. Now, I can't do this because I have to actually send somebody somewhere, but that's all you have to do for creating a form. That's fine. We'll lose the progress on that. For tracking, you don't really need to worry about any of this, to be honest. But one thing that you would like to do, or that I would recommend you do, is you'll want to test multiple images per ad set. So let's say you want to start off with 3, or let's even say 4 images for this one ad copy. You want to test one variable at a time, very commonly known in marketing. You want to test these, find out which ones work best, and then you can start killing turning off losing ads and implementing or introducing new ads or new images, new ads being ad copies or new images, and testing one variable at a time. You can also create multiple ad sets and organize these in a little bit of a different way, but that is really it. There's a client account launched. From here, you're going to want to go into Zapier and link it up to go high level for your clients, or link it up to their own CRM, whatever the thing is, or however they want it to be set up. But there is how you'd set up a client account on Facebook. Lots of common mistakes that a lot of people make, lots of common misconceptions, but there it is. Setting up Facebook client accounts for your SMMA, social media marketing agency. If you want to go way deeper into this, like if you want me to personally help you in your agency, then you can go book a call, sales call me in the description. That way I'll be able to run you down how I can help and so on and so forth. I have a private scaling group for agency owners, like-minded people, tight-knit kind of thing, just to get people scaled up together. If that's interesting to you, then you can go book a sales call with me. Otherwise, click whatever's popping up on screen now, and I'll see you there.